All right, guys, welcome back to another student interview here. And today we're going to be sitting down with Lou, as you can see. Oh, camera's flipped that way.
Yeah.
From from New York,
Rochester, New York.
Rochester, New York. And apparently he's a Bills fan now. He's living outside of Buffalo there. And we're going to talk to him about his overall transition, everything from or transition from being a finance manager into a full-time trader now, I should say, over the last 2 months. He was a member in the third mentorship program back in February and is liking the SPX. So a little bit of an unusual little unusual twist on that one, but we'll get into that
Yes.
to kick it off. So what do you got for me, Lou?
Man, I always like to start with a background. I got to give my shout out to the 585 Rochester, New York, man. That's kind of where I began. Went to Bishop Kearney, was privileged enough to have finance. I got a little bit of a financial aid, from my background coming up, and I was able to go into private schools, and that did a lot for me and got me to the point that I'm at, got me into college, which ultimately led me to University of Buffalo, here in Buffalo. I've always been a Bills fan. And then, ultimately get me into a large automotive group that I've been with for the last 11 years, 7 years as a finance manager, 5 times as a President's Club member, which out of, 60 plus managers within the group, there's only a handful of guys that can make it each year. So that was a huge feat. And also a very difficult position to walk away from at the time that I did.
How you feel now?
Dude, I feel amazing. I feel amazing, man, because when I told it was one of those things that was kind of on my mind for a while. You know, thinking about kind of bridging off. I've always loved the market. About it back in 2016 is really I really kind of got into the stock market as a whole. I bought my long terms, and I was trading commodities at the time. So I was doing natural gas, oil, and
Futures?
like J Nug, no J Nug and J Dust. So I was trading like gold, natural gas, and oil. But as those things run nonstop. But I was trading heavy positions, and wake up overnight, you're down 3%, and your account is hit hard. So that's kind of when I got into it. And but it was always kind of difficult for me to kind of. I know I could never put my full, focus into trading and being a finance manager at the same time. But although I love what I did, and I still do to this day. I don't regret any decisions that I made, but this right here is a major leap. But my wife and my son, and just your overall lifestyle and the way you want to be remembered. You want to look back on it. I'm 33 years old right now. I've been with the group for 11 years. I'm just like, can I do this for another 10 years? Well, that answer was no for me. I couldn't see myself being 50 years old, as a finance manager with the group. And it's like, well, what's that next step for me? And this is the next step for me. Just I'm trying to make my hair turn gray as fast as possible trading SPX.
The SPX will do that. The SPX will do that
Yes,
for sure.
yes, yes, sir.
So
So,
you went from nat gas to SPX then. So you like a little bit more risk than kind of the average person, I would say.
you know what? Now that you mention it, yes, yes. But what I found with when I got into trading, when I joined your mentorship at that point in time, actually came from one, Jake. Obviously we all know Jake Ritchie. Jake trades, and I was in his Discord first, man. I'm just watching this kid. I'm like, this guy is special, man. I've been in a lot of Discords. I've seen a lot of different things, but he's just got that have fun mentality. And I'm just watching. I'm watching. I'm like, where do you get this stuff from? I'm like watching him, and I'm trying to learn. And he trades individual tickers. He loves this, relative strength, relative weakness. That's kind of his strategy, but he keeps it simple. And that's the thing right there. You got to kind of keep it simple. And the thing that kind of drew me towards him was when he does the Zoom calls. Like, it wasn't necessarily about the setups, trades. It was about the mental aspect of trading. And that right there is something that will take you far in this trading space, or will end your trading career tomorrow. If you don't get that under control.
Yeah.
And then through him, I somehow, I don't know which day it was, but then I found out about you, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do one of the mentorship programs. I don't know which one I'm gonna do. And it wasn't even about like how much of mentorship. It was just trying to find something that fit for me because everybody's personality is going to be different. So then I found you, seen you on Instagram, started following your videos. And I've been in a lot of Discords, been doing a lot of trading, and obviously in this space you got to kind of be careful. You know, there's a lot of fools out here. You see that? You know, I don't believe in the 1,000 to 100,000 account challenge, and I don't believe in that stuff. It's just about the longevity for me. And that's when I came across MLT. And then your daily post, you post your levels on ES, and I'm seeing it, and I'm just watching it for a while. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, how is he getting these levels? Like this, it's hitting every single time, and I get it. Like, and then I'm talking to my buddy, and I'm like, yo, like you see this guy? He's like, oh, whoa, you know, most people, man, they hit, man, they're gonna post it, man, when they're right. You know, I'm like, not necessarily, man. He's kind of posted ahead of time whether it hits or not. There's some sort of a method behind it, and I can see it. So I'm like, I got to join this mentorship, man. So then I joined a mentorship, and it was tough, man, because my schedule was very, very, very demanding as a finance manager. You know, we open at 9, so technically got to be there around 8:30 in the morning. We used to be open till 9 p.m. at night, but now it's 7 o'clock, and you know, I work Monday through Thursday. I get there before 9, 8:30 sometimes. Get off at 7, but that's never 7, 7:30, not 8. You know, and I come home, kiss my son good night, get back in the morning, up in the morning. This is right back at it.
Yep.
And then when I was doing a mentorship program, that's how how dedicated I was. I would do all that all day, come home, spend as much time with my son as I could, my wife, and then it's like, oh shit, Eric's logging in. Let me jump in, man. Because from Tuesday to Thursday, from 8:30 to sometimes past 11 o'clock. We're in the mentorship program, and I wanted to be there live. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a few times I fell asleep, like during with my iPad, listening to Eric's voice. Man, you're in my damn dreams, man. I'm still mapping levels in my sleep, and I wake up like, damn, what did I miss? Like, where did I fall off at? So that's kind of how I landed in the program there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Like, was I boring or was I soothing? Which one?
No, bro. Like, cause I know it was hard to turn away from, man. Like, it was the levels. I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. And especially if it's on a Thursday, I'm like, man, like I could go back and rewatch the videos, but I'm not, we're not going to be here Friday. We're not going to be here Saturday. We're not going to be, so I got to wait till the next Tuesday to get back at it here. And every bit of information was so critical, man. Like one of the things about the mentorship program with Major League Trading, there's a lot. It opened up my eyes to a lot of things. I've done a lot of years of trading a lot of different styles, but I never focused on the Russell. I never focused on the NASDAQ. I never focused on the Dow. And putting those different things up and looking at divergence. That was something that was introduced that was new to me. Looking at buy setups, sell setups. That is something that I use to this day. I mean, I actually made money off of that today, and I do it on a daily basis. You don't fight the trend. I mean, we're going down. So, unfortunately this morning, just to be exact, I kind of got faked out. I try not to enter like too close to the open. I tried to take calls, obeyed my stop, hit my stop, got out right immediately. Then it started dumping. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to overreact. There's going to be an opportunity. Waited for that sell setup, or the buy setup, got in, dropped, got out, and just made my day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop here because I can't go, talk to my man Eric with my brain all jumbled here. Take my win and walk away.
So it's interesting, right? Because I guess I'm going to assume, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, like when you first started trading, like back in the day, the trading nat gas and gold and crude and coming up through the ranks, I guess, if you will, right, is what indicators were you using back then? Like what did your charts look like compared to now?
Listen, I'm guilty, man. So at the time, when you're trading national, nat gas, you're trading gold, the biggest thing you had the three major things. The RSI, relative strength index, I always had that in the middle, and I always had the MACD, all your top lagging indicators. So you're sitting there waiting for it to cross, like it's the golden ticket. Oh, we're crossing, now we're going to the moon. But as you know, that's not how it works. And then on top of it, and that's a whole nother topic. I kind of stepped away from swing trading about a month ago, and it's been the best decision for me, for the way I am, for my personality. And to be honest, the current market that we're in. So, so those indicators, they work for some people. some people use them, they love them. Stock market wolf, he loves his MACD. But as I learned and I watched the mentorship, or sorry, not the mentorship, they did like a YouTube video with him and Rake, and I watch all of them. I love to see different perspectives, how people trade different ways, and certain things work for certain people. So
Mhm.
you can't look at it and at first, when I started watching Jake, I started like I took all the indicators off, and then I just went on the other side, and I'm like, oh, look at you, man, you're using EMAs, man, what's wrong with you? But then you realize, like, if it works, man, then it works. If it ain't broke, fix it. But you want to try to keep it as simple as possible. So that's the biggest difference from then. Like, I tried to trade SPY, and that's kind of when I got out of your mentorship. SPY was where it was at for me, and I just kind of wanted to kind of focus on one thing at a time. You focus on one individual ticker, you get you learn it like the back of your hand, and that's kind of what I wanted to focus on, and that comes from just learning different styles, learning different people, and I got that from Jay Dunn and Team Bull Trading. He's another one of those respected guys that I look at, and I take bits and pieces and I try to piece it together and make it my own. And right now, I kind of think I found something in SPX, and it's early on for me, so we'll see how this thing goes. But so far, it's been working. It's been working for me, man. So I'm excited, man. I've been the biggest, the toughest thing for me, and I'm sorry, man. Just jump in anytime you can, man. I'm just
No, no,
excited, and
go ahead.
and literally, and I'm not here just to toot the horns of Major League Trading, but literally that was my final straw and what gave me the confidence to step away from the position. Like, the gig that I walked away from is not your everyday gig. It's not. When most people look at me and they see and they know how I am and they know what position I walked away from, in the back of their mind, I know they're thinking, like, what the hell is this guy thinking? Is he crazy? Is he crazy?
Is a little off his rocker.
Is he off his rocker, man? Like, is he? But you want to know what? Listen, we got one life to live, man. My son yesterday was 2 years old, man, kind of wobbling through the house, and now he's 7. You know what I'm saying? And my wife, I mean, all that time, that's one thing that you cannot get back. I'm not telling anybody to quit their job today. Don't do that. But I'm just telling you right now, man, I've never been so happy, man. I've never been so excited. I left on good terms, man. The people in the group, I keep track, I keep in touch with, but I absolutely love it, man. This is it for me. But the mentorship program is what really, really, really pushed it over the edge for me. Because I think after the program ended, I don't think it was more than 2 weeks and I was done. I was done at work. Yeah, it was like
he was making a decision.
Yeah, man. Let's not mess around.
I like it. So we've talked a little bit in the past, and I'll probably I'll throw up a picture from you back in the day, a little bit of fitness.
Oh, no. Do it, man.
And we kind of talked, like I said, initially in that whole phase, and someone actually brought this up in the mentorship last night, kind of that transition from, your full-time gig. And like you said, like you got to be there at 9, clock in, you're finishing up, you're wrapping up paperwork, doing whatever you got to do at the end of the day. And there's a real strict routine and there's a discipline there that you have kind of forced upon you, I guess, in a way, because like, you could get rode up or you get in trouble, whatever the case might be. But then when you go full time, it's like, it's you, and it's kind of when like the market opens at 9:30, right? And, we close at 4. Futures are 24/7, basically 23/5. Yes. What did that look like? How did you transition into that? And like, what kind of rules and things did you put in place? And did the fitness discipline from the past, like, is that stuff carrying over, to now as well?
Absolutely. That was one of my biggest fears, and it is still something that I kind of struggle with to this date, from being completely, my schedule's full at all point in times to now, I might, jump in a trade, be done with that trade within a matter of minutes. And most people are like, now what? So, I find myself working out multiple times a day. I used to be 220 pounds. I'm 5'8" right now. So I used to be 220 pounds, and then I got into, dude, I'm telling you, man. No, it was that campus cash, man. That unlimited dining in college. I'm telling you, because back in high school, I couldn't gain a pound, man. I was like 150 pounds soaking wet. running track and playing corner, and I go to college and I always worked out, but I know the diet was never a focus. I'll tell you that right now. So I've always got big from working out and stuff like that. It wasn't one day. This is a story I don't share with a lot of people, but one day I'm sitting there with my boys, and I've always worked out, man. I'm hitting every weight I can, And then my uncle came over to my grandmother's house one time, and I'm sitting there. He's like, "Oh, you guys gotta get outside." I'm like, "Listen, I look like I need to get outside." And he like pulled my shirt up, and my belly just kind of like fly. Like I was always, I was fit, but I wasn't. And that messed me up. My voice started laughing. I'm like, "Okay, so that's how we doing it now." Okay, so but realistically, 80% of it is diet, and that taught me a little bit of discipline, because to wake up every morning, eat egg whites and oats, have your day pre-planned, chicken and rice, your ground beef, your tilapia, which I don't like doing, but whatever, and then you got your strict diet every single day. It's hard to do that. But ultimately what got me to the, get able to where I needed to be was I focus on the end result. At the end of the day, most people eat, every meal has got to be full of pleasure. That's not how life works. You know what I mean? So you got to discipline yourself. So every morning I get up, I do my Peloton. Something I've never been big on in the past is cardio. But as you get older and as you grow, you realize like it's more than just looking good, man. You need to feel good. Like, I don't care how much money you make and what you do. I mean, what good is it, if your health starts to decline in your later ages? Like, I need to be able to keep up with my son. He's running up around here. I'm like, listen, one of these days he's gonna try to show me out in front of his friends. I'm gonna have to put him in his place. You know what I mean? So I gotta do what's right for me, man. And so each and every day, kind of get back to the question that you asked, man, as far as the discipline, and I get up in the morning, same thing, spend time with my son, because that time is precious. Get him ready to go. Spend time with my wife. I try to make sure, like, how am I today? How are you feeling today? Kind of like the checklist that MLT has. Like, you need to know where you stand before the day starts, especially if you're trading SPX. Because if you go in there and you're not right and you get in that position, it happens fast. And I use mental stop loss. So I don't have like a hard stop. But most people can't accept the fact that once you get into that position, it could be in a matter of 30 seconds. You're out. You're done. And if you don't cut it, you ain't done. Now you're dead. Like, I mean, so that's the thing. So that's kind of where I head off with that. But it's been quite the transition from being a finance manager to where I'm at now. But my wife supports it. I was actually surprised by all the different reactions I got from a lot of my friends and my family. Because when I went to them, I'm waiting for everybody to just tell me, like, somebody's gonna tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm crazy. Tell me right now. And I'm pretty sure people genuinely told me, like, listen, Lou, you made it work up to this point, that whatever you've done, whatever you've set out to do in the past, you've accomplished it because you've had that drive. When I came to Buffalo, I didn't even have a ride. I just I called my buddy who was already 2 years in the University of Buffalo. I'm like, bro, listen. I'm like, yo, do you mind if I go to to Buffalo with you when you leave? He's like, listen, the car kind of pack. I don't really have a lot of space. I'm like, listen, I don't have much to leave with anyways. I had like a little room, I had a little stuff, like, that's all I need. And all I know is I got my tuition, I got most of my tuition is paid for the year, through cash, because I was able to get into their program. So I had my financial aid already set, and I had a single dorm my freshman year. So I'm like, I got a dorm waiting for me, bro. So I don't give a damn, bro. I put one bag in that car. And I say that to say, not to go off on a tangent, I say that to say, like, I never really had, there's no fallback plan for me. There's never been a fallback plan. There's no, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna call granny or call my mom, like, hey, listen, I need you to drop some money in my account. That's not my reality. You know what I'm saying? So whatever I'm doing now is gonna have to work, man. I'm gonna have to find a way. And that's how I look at life all the time. Like, when I went into Western Automotive, that's the group that I work for, one of the largest automotive groups in Western New York. 8 months after college is when I joined, when I started the group, and I sold vehicles. I sold cars for 2.5 years. And when I went into Western, I'm just like, you know what? At first it was kind of like, damn, I go to college. I didn't, a lot of it was kind of, you look at yourself like, I didn't go to college and sell vehicles. But most people don't understand the auto industry like that. They automatically judge you. They automatically, oh, this guy's selling cars. I didn't care. So I went in there, and next thing you know, I'm like, how much can you make? Like, so you tell me if I sell this car, like, what are you gonna give me? And then you do a couple of that. So I'm just doing that, and I'm killing it for the first couple of years. And then I met my wife in 2011. And at that time, I'm just like, I met her. We, things are like working out. So I'm like, I'm gonna propose. So I saved up all my money and I bought this ring. And I bought the ring and I gave it to her. So I'm like, she said, yeah. I'm like, oh shit, you crazy? But all right, let's do it. But then after that, I didn't realize all the costs that came with it. That's just the start of it. There's a wedding and then all that stuff that comes along with it. So I'm like, oh damn, okay. And then I'm like, a wedding band. What is a band? So you got to buy a band. So then all these different things start to come at you fast. But that was just more motivation for me. So I'm like, well, what's the next step? And I'm looking at these finance managers in the group. I'm like, what do these guys do? I mean, like they got that general perception. Like, what these guys, the cars are pulling up. Like, what do I have to do to do that? So then I get into finance. I'm like, okay, I got my opportunity, and then you start to build, you start to, make a little bit more money. You start to, do a little bit more, get a little bit more accolades. I make the President's Club, this, and that. And then it gets to a point, and it's like you start to realize, and it's naturally like, not saying I love money. Don't get me wrong, but money ain't everything, bro. It's not everything.
No.
I could get a call later on right now from anyone in my family, someone close to me. I don't deal with grief well, and that might just send me on a loop. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I found trading, and that's why I love it. I love it. It gives me control of my time, but you have to be extremely disciplined, as you know, in order to do this stuff here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the other aspect too, right, is like, you knew, like, when you went to work every single day, like you're putting in X amount of hours, and it's like, I'm going to receive X amount of pay based on X amount of hours that I worked. But like now, that's completely different, right? Like you could go an entire day without making a single trade, right?
Yeah.
So the mental aspect of that, constantly being a consideration, right? I think ultimately ends up kind of forcing people into some positions, right? Because they're ultimately looking at like, okay, rent's due or whatever it might be, or I want to go buy this or buy that, whatever. And they force some positions, right? So have you been there? And what were like some of those mental struggles from, like let's take a look at like psychology from when you first started trading until now, like that psychology change and shift of wanting to make money, even though, again, money is just the means to an end, essentially, right? But you have to kind of shift that perspective. What are a couple of tips, tricks, things that you did in order to finally like realize, understand that, make the shift?
Well, so man, that is a fantastic question. A question I ask myself nonstop. When I was getting ready to leave the group that I left from, I actually had a phone call. I got a call from the owner of the company, and we had and I'm not gonna lie, when he first called, like I tried to dodge the call because it was gonna be a hard call because he's been nothing but good to me, in my whole entire career, and then I expected everybody, of course they tried to do what they can to try to keep me. But I just wanted to make sure I did everything in the right terms. And when he called, like one of the questions he asked me, like, whoa, and his voice got really deep voice, like, well, are you gonna make, like, how much more are you gonna make? Is it gonna be comparable to this? And that's where I have to be very careful, because coming from the type of money I was making, to go into the stock market and immediately try to replace that, it is not realistic, man. And I got to be honest with myself. I got to remember what I'm doing this for. And if I go into every single day, every single trade, trying to like replace that, or even, try to like especially right off the back. I mean, obviously we know the potential's there. In one trade, you can eclipse what you've made in a month. It's very easy. But in the same token, if you don't manage those risks, you'll blow your account. And that's just one thing. Whatever. Everybody's financial situation is different. I mean, I've blown accounts in the past. But it's not just that, man, because like now you're doing it for a little bit more. You blow an account, you do a couple of things. I had a couple of tilt days, and if a lot of people, if you don't know what tilt is, like, and it wasn't too bad. Like, I had one, but the thing is, man, you take a trade, it doesn't go your way, things don't work out. Now you're like, okay, now you kind of force it, and within, especially trading SPX, once again, within a matter of 15 minutes, you can do some damage. Now you got to understand your risk to reward. There's times when you got to step away. I'm gonna use today as an example. I jumped in the trade. I thought, I kind of got faked out in that first 5 minute candle. I don't play close to close, but my mentals was like, okay, you know what? I didn't really trade yesterday because of FOMAC. I had a good day Monday, really good day Tuesday. Didn't really trade yesterday. It took my little lotto play, took a little loss in that, but that was kind of a planned loss. And I'm saying to myself, like, okay, now it's Thursday, and it's just natural as a trader. Naturally, you want to put some trade on. But then I remember, damn, I scheduled the thing with Eric. I'm meeting with Eric at noon. So whatever I got to do now. So I just had that little bit of added pressure. So I went on and I got the first 5 minute candle. It looked good. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm above open print. I'm above it. I got my strategy in place. I got my EMAs. I'm kind of, looked at the risk reward. I'm in between levels, which is probably not smart, but I'm gonna take this anyway. So I jump in calls, right? So I'm in calls and things starts turning my way. And I'm like, all right, you know what? It's risk to reward. And that's one thing I want to focus on, R to R. And that's a topic we can go on for hours about. So getting the trade. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? Then it goes up, then it starts going against me. Now, one thing I've learned, especially in this past couple of weeks, is accept that risk. When you take that trade, you better be ready to take that L, just in case. And the way I look at it, I look at, if I hit my stop loss, I don't want to go beyond that. I look at that as that's my cost of doing business. If I hit that stop loss and I'm out, you got me. You got me today. All right, so go away. So now I hit my stop
loss. Shake hands and move on, right?
Move on, man, because it can get ugly quick. And it's not just the monetary, it's not even just the money that you lose. Now you get off of there, you take another trade, especially if you go on tilt. It happened a couple of times. And then the next thing you know, all right, now the market's getting ready to close. I'm ready to win on tilt. Did some damage. And in about half an hour, now your son's getting off the bus. And then how do you feel right now? Like, I leave a career of 11 years to spend that time with my son, spend that time with my wife. But no matter what you say, like if you take that a really, really bad day, you can try to pretend as much as you want that things are all right. He comes home, Daddy, I did this, I did that. In the back of your head, it's just like, I told myself I wasn't going to go on tilt yesterday and I did it again. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just the monetary value, it's the mentals, man. I got to protect my mentals at all times. And that's why another reason why swing trading at this time does not work for me. Because when the market closes, you're looking at after hours. Things go up, your emotions go up. 8 o'clock, I'm trying to watch, we got my son to bed. I'm trying to watch a show with my wife. Looking at my phone. She's like, what are you doing? I'm just checking something real quick. All right. Looking at it.
S&Ps are moving.
Even though that means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because in the morning at 8:30, it's about to crush your dreams anyways when that data drops. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful, man. And everybody's personality is different. And that's kind of one of the things that I realized, and that's what drew me to SPX. If I can manage my risk with the leveling system that I've learned through Major League Trading, with the twist that I've added to it, and with discipline, you can really take this to another level. Now, the risk I'm starting to get under control, like tilt, I think I've gotten tilt behind me. Not saying it'll never happen again. But accepting that loss, man, you got to be able to accept that loss, man. Give that thing a kiss on the forehead and walk away. You have to. Same way with wins, man. You can't get too high. I get excited, man. I get hyped, man. You get excited. You take that win and like, damn, all right, listen, now I'm a genius. You take that another trade. Now you just wiped it out. Now what that brings me to is R to R, risk to reward. So I've started to kind of pre-plan. I've been seeing my trades happen ahead of time when it's been happening. And that's something I've learned from yourself. And once again, I got to give my man Jake his credit because that's where credit is due, man. So the risk to reward, I see a lot of traders. I got people in my DMs. I've been posting more videos than usual on my Instagram. And the big thing is, yeah, you can take that loss and you can watch that loss run past your stop loss. You can hope and pray to the trading guys like this thing turns around. You can watch that trade goes down to 75%, but you can't hold to your target past 25%. That's a losing. You know what I'm saying? That's a losing formula.
Yep.
So that's something that I kind of focused on a little bit more and more. It's a little tough in this market, but you have to accept the loss, man. Going into that trade, you got to be ready to take that L.
Yeah.
Every trade. It's crazy as it sounds.
It's like so we were talking about it last night as well, and like people get an emotional attachment to the fact of like wanting to be right with that trade. Like the trade you took this morning, right? Is okay, you get in and it's like, yeah, we're right in between levels. Um, which is one of the things I wrote. Like 4190 was like the worst possible opening print for the day on the S&P. Is like
Yeah,
we got 23
yeah,
points lower, we got 21 points higher before a level, and it's like,
yeah,
all right, maybe if you opened at 89, it would be even worse. But 90s is still
yep,
terrible. You know what I
yep,
mean? So it's like, all right, overall trend fairly choppy. It is what it is. Probably going to go lower. If we do test higher, good. We can probably still roll over from there, right? Um, but to the point of like wanting to be right on the position, um, when you look at the markets, right? Like the market doesn't care, right? The market doesn't care about you. Market doesn't care about me. Market doesn't care about anybody, right? And it's not that you were necessarily wrong. Like this is
yeah,
the point here is like it's not necessarily that you were wrong. It's just that the trade didn't work, right?
yeah,
And so be it. Like it's just
yeah,
a part of the game, but people can't. The vast majority of people get stuck on that fact of wanting to be right, i.e., because there's that reward at the end of being right, which is making money.
yeah,
That they end up holding that losing position, like you said, past where they're supposed to,
yeah,
and then they ultimately end up playing that game where it's like, yeah, I held it down 75%, it comes back, and I'm like close to break even, and I've been
yeah,
praying to the market gods, like you said, like, hey, can I just
yeah.
get back to even on this position?
I
And then
won't do it again. I won't do it again. I averaged into this position 3 times. I promise I won't do it again. Just give me one chance.
just just let me out, right? And
Yeah.
then it gets back there, and then they don't take it off again. Like
Yeah.
so. And I'm not like I've been there, done that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
making fun of anybody else at the fact that
Yeah.
my own expense, my own pain. I've been there, gone through it. Um, which kind of leads me into the next question, and it's a two-part, right? Is
Sure, sure.
what has been your most memorable trade, both a loss and a win?
Oh man. One of my most memorable trades that was kind of it was a win and it was a loss at the same time just took place this past Monday. We're gonna go back to this Monday. And the reason I say that was probably the best executed trade that I've actually had, but I didn't feel like I got what I should have gotten out of it based off of what I've learned over these last couple of weeks. I've told myself, listen, man, and I tell people I'm the sticky note king. I got sticky notes all over. I got things in place for myself. Now, I believe this was on Monday. Was it on Monday? Might have been on Monday or Tuesday. Monday or Tuesday. Long story short, the market kind of opened up, and we talk about this trading space being so mental. And one of the things you gotta remember a lot of things, man. It's not just about your setup, your chart. You gotta keep in mind, you gotta check that market watch calendar every day. You gotta know where things are at. Because you can have the most perfect setup and you know what's gonna happen at 10 o'clock. There will be a spike in one direction or the other. So it would behoove you to stay away from that. Either like if you're gonna take your trade, take it before, be out of that trade, and because your stops are gonna get ran or you might get lucky. Now, this trade right here, the market opened up. I want to say it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. And I'm thinking puts, man. And I'm talking to my buddy, like, every day I talk to my boy Steve, man. We kind of like keep each other grounded when it comes to the space. And
I love that, by the way.
you gotta have
I
somebody in your
love
corner,
that.
man. You gotta talk to each other, man. That's if you don't have somebody close, you got to get a mentor, man. And I don't just say that because it works. You have to have something in your corner, man, because I'm sorry, your husband, your wife, that ain't going to be enough. I mean, you can sit there, you can talk to them all day long, and they're going to,
No.
do the best they can, hopefully to support you, but they ain't going to understand it like my boy Steve. So we get into it. Like after Monday happened, I think it was Monday, and he's like, bro, I'm thinking like tomorrow we may dump. And I'm sitting there like, don't say that, man, because you're stroking my bias right now. Because I felt the same way. But the thing is, you go into a day bias, man. That's where you get yourself in trouble. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I think it will. Sure as hell, Tuesday comes, the market flushes right at open, straight down. Don't even come back. Now, most people, if you lack discipline, what you're gonna do, especially with the bias, you're gonna jump in. And if you jump in, especially if you're trading the tickers that I trade here, it can get ugly real fast because it is volatile. So your stop is gonna get ran regardless. So when that happened, where I've seen a lot of my growth come in is that whatever, I didn't panic, a little bit of fumble, whatever, but you know how to deal with it. So I'm watching it. But I also know in the back of my head, we have data at 10 o'clock. So it's just dumping. And as it's going and it goes up a little bit, then goes down, I'm looking at, and I use EMAs. I use a 9, I use a 20. And, I stand by those in VWAP. I don't use a ton of indicators on my chart. I don't use, the RSI, the MACD too much, any of that stuff. I'm not a volume trader. My boy, he loves talking volume. He's a volume guy. He's always talking volume. And the moment the third time he mentioned volume in 3 minutes, I'm like, bro, stop, man, because you're messing me up. Because now I'm looking at the volume right now, and I don't trade like that. So I'm like, 10 o'clock is going to hit. And I think a bunch of people got wrecked that day. Sure as hell, 10 o'clock hits. And I'm just trying to find an entry in puts. 10 o'clock hits. It flies straight up. But I knew it. Took my entry. The moment we hit the EMA, I took my entry. I said, come hella high water. This is my entry. Got in. Next thing you know, here comes a giant wick up top. That thing is going down. I had the perfect entry. But it happened so fast, now I'm excited. And then I flipping screens and this is I execute my trades from my phone. I know a lot of people don't believe in that, but that's how I've always been because I've been trading from an office at work. And if I trade on my phone. I know but that's just what I'm used to. I know there's a lot of traders out there can't do it. Like I said, when I tell you I follow a lot of good traders, I mean, obviously, Eric, you're my man. You're up top. Rick's up top. But I even, a lot of the up and coming people in the game. I got to give a shout out to Tori. She's Tori. I think it's Tori Trades is her Instagram name. She trades from her phone as well. I watch a lot of the videos. I pay attention. I absorb a lot of information. So I'm like, all right, she trades from her phone. So I'm not the only one. Even though she trades with commodities or oil and stuff, a little different. Trend lines, I don't do trend lines, all that shit. But whatever. So, so I get in the trade. Instantly, the thing goes my way. I black out. I switch screens. All I see is the P&L. I'm up $800 so fast. I cut the whole damn position. I didn't even I don't think I trimmed. I might have trimmed maybe once, twice. Cut the position, right? I'm like, okay, so good. Now I'm good. So this is why I say that to your question. What was the most memorable win? And that was a win and a loss because I cut it. I'm up. I'm happy. I'm satisfied, which I am still satisfied with the way that trade worked. That was perfect execution. But the thing was, there was no reason for me to cut that trade. There was no reason for me to cut the trade. Yeah. The move just started at the end. I was below my level. The next level was way below. I mean, that was on Tuesday. I mean, way below.
I remember.
Dude, I didn't get a chance. The candle a chance to close, man. So I jump in again.
I was long that.
We did.
There was right off 4167s in the S&Ps. That 10 o'clock news hit. I was long that. I lost a couple points on S&Ps. So yeah, no, I remember that one. And I remember that too because we wanted the trade, and I'm in the chat. And here's the other thing: as much as I don't care what group you belong to, what Discord you belong to. One thing I try to do is block out the noise, and that's not a bad thing. Like I love you guys. I love all you guys, man. I love everybody in the chat. I love Eric when he's dropping his sauce. I love my man. I love everybody in there, man. Everybody, Cairo trades, man. Everybody in the chat. But you guys are all thinking like you were looking for long, and you wanted that 67 to trade. But the way I trade in my heart of hearts and the plan I kind of put, I'm like, I need to find an entry in puts because I don't. The way I'm looking at this, I don't know if 67 trades if we're gonna go up. So I kind of waited, and when we spiked, if it kept going, I would have took my loss. Whatever, took my stop loss. I would have walked away. Yep. But when that thing hit there and it came down, that was all the conviction I needed. This trade is going to work. And still I cut it. And I'm like, whatever, man. The thing just went down. The trade just went down, whatever. No big deal. So I get out the trade. I make my money. I go there. I make my little Instagram video. And that's the other thing. You try to have your little, social media presence that kind of distracts you, throws you off your trading game. Because I'm like,
Now I gotta win. I'm about to go post. Well, by the time I'm posting about my damn win, now this thing is at like $3,000. The contracts I bought them at 400. I cut them at a nice price, but now they're running. And I'm sitting there looking at this as like, this is a lesson to myself, man. Like at the end of the day, why did you cut that trade? Not only did you have your level light years away, the candles were not even coming. Man, these candles are so full. Like, I mean, if you're working, and I use a 5-minute chart to make that clear. So I use 5 minutes. I love that when I'm actually in a trade. We didn't even meet halfway. We didn't even like retrace halfway to the previous candle, not even once. And I'm out the damn trade, and the thing is just going.
We
and I
dumped
think
like
we tapped
55 points.
Yeah, we hit 4,100.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I was like, so then the contracts, when I made the last video, I don't know how far they went, but I know they at least went to 4,500. And I'm just like, damn. But what I took away from that trade is the execution was great. My risk management was great. I had my risk to reward in place. My position size was where it needed to be. That's another thing a lot of people got to focus on, your position size. My position size was where it needed to be. Where did I make my mistake? Where a lot of even the best traders make their mistake, holding the winners. You can hold them losers, but you can't hold them winners, right? Like you can go down, you can be down 70% holding faith, but you can't be up 70% holding that same conviction. So,
which, I mean, in your defense and in hindsight at the same time, it's like, right, the thing is now next time you still have to manage it appropriately, because even though this trade ran 1,000%, right, next time it might not run the 1,000%, and you may end up holding that position to come back to even, right? And then it's like, I could have taken those profits and probably should have taken some profits, right? Just from a risk reward standpoint. And the thing is, like, that's a never ending battle.
Dude,
like
it
never ending.
It's
always going to be there.
Dude, speaking of that, that's another trade. So a second trade I want to mention was a trade I actually took with you. This is weeks back. And we took SPX calls. And we had a target in mind. And this thing was running. I mean, we went from, I think the contracts were $50 when we first got them. And then we're up 800% at one point. I think like 450 we're at. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I should probably cut some of these. But then I seen you type something like, I'm like, oh yeah, you're like, yeah, I'm looking for it to get to like 1,900. I'm like, so if we hit our goal, should be, yeah, we got plenty of room. I'm like, we're good. I'm not doing it. So I took 600 to like $4,500, and I trimmed. And I had like 11 of them, man. Like, well, no, sorry, it was $600. So I had, I was trimming it, but I didn't manage my trims properly because I still wanted to make money in the trade. Next thing you know, we're coming into a level. We hit the level, then we start going sideways. Now, from a chart standpoint and from a price action standpoint, everything is telling me this thing looked like it could turn around right here. And even if it continues, you're gonna have to deal with some drawdown here. I ignored it. I said, I want 2,000%, man. Me and Eric going to the moon in this one. And the thing came down, and it happens. It happens quick. Like when you're trading SPX, man, you can go from 1,000% to 400% in a minute. And you just don't, you got to understand you got to understand the beast that you're dealing with. And that was one of my biggest lessons, because, you look at it, you make money, but it's just like, bro, like I'm sitting there, you were actually logged off. And that's the one thing I love about you. You got one of the calmest demeanors when it's trading. Like you were like, oh, I'm gonna put my wrist on and I'm gonna head out to the gym and go get and put the steaks in the grill. And that's it, man. Go jump in the cold tub. I mean, that's not me. I can't. And that's one thing when I say it's personality based, you got to understand what you do, who you are. And I can't do that, man. Like I know how I am. Like every now and then, if I'm up, I'll put a risk on. So what if it goes zero? But it's hard, man, because I'm looking. And I was looking. And
you think that's worse because you trade from your phone? Because so for me, like I don't trade from my phone, right? So if I put the position on and I close up charts and I walk away, right? Like I can still check quotes from my phone, and if I needed to close something, whatever the case is, like I still obviously could. But like I don't normally. Like a handful of times a year, something like that. Do you think that's a habit kind of
Dude,
from
now that I think
that?
about it, I mean, yes, it is worse. I mean, dude, it's worse, man, because like I have like it's my I have the controller in my hands at all times. I can tell myself I can shut the charts down at any point in time. Shut it down, turn the computer off, and walk away. And I'm in the gym, you know, and I've set up two different areas in my house. I got the garage for the heavyweights, and I got the basement. We did like a little workout area down there. But no matter what you say, I'm in the middle of my workout. It's like, right, let me look at it real quick. Let me just look at it. Or Steve, my boy, text me and be like, Lou, what was that? And I'm like, bro, no. Like, all right, let me look at it real quick. Oh shit, like, yo, no, like, now I'm caught, man. Now I'm looking at it, bro. Like, I didn't want to look at it. And that's what messes me up, man. Like a couple of trades even before that. This was like maybe last month or the month before that. I know you remember this one. We bought these contracts at like $30, and you hit your target and you cut it. But these contracts went from like $30 to over $3,000. It was I can't remember which day it was, man. But and we were fine with the risk. But I'm washing clothes and he texts me like, bro, we're flying. I go look at it, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh shoot, we're up X amount of percentage. But then now your mind is kind of like your mentals are thrown off. It's not like, bro, I had three contracts, like $100. Like not, but now I'm looking at the realized gains. And it's like you're looking at the percentage. That's not you ride this thing out and never turned around.
That was
The
that
market never turned
March.
around.
That was
Yeah.
that Silicon Valley Bank.
Yes,
March move.
That was it, man.
I
Yeah,
remember. I remember that
that
one.
was a trade. That was one of the trades that hurt me the most. I got to tell you, to this very date, like even ones after that hurt me the most, man. Because you would have taken $100 to like $10,000 from what I remember. The damn thing was at its peak, and it just never turned around. And I'm just like, bro, why did we cut that? Like we looked at it. He called me in the middle of the day. I'm washing clothes. I seen 300%. Then I seen 250. And I'm now looking at it. I'm like, I don't want this thing to go down. Not thinking that it's bro, it's $100. You cut it and like whatever. And you go back at the end of the day, like, yo, look at those contracts.
I I I remember that trade vividly. So
Yeah.
I ended up making decent on it. And I cut it because we were traveling, right? We were headed
You were on
to
vacation.
Florida.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so I ended up pulling like, I don't know, I think it was like 4,700 out of the trade, whatever it might have been. And I had a feeling like when I did it that like it was probably the wrong move, but also I was like trying to follow my rules where like I was going to be on the road and didn't want to be managing positions, whatever the case was. And then I end up checking quotes from the road, and I'm like, holy shit, this move was ridiculous. And I texted Jake on it because there's been a couple like SPX trades over the years. Since like, Jake and I have been talking, and like one of them was like one of them was that I did a YouTube video and it was like a 4,700% SPX.
Damn. Oh my goodness.
Dude, it was ridiculous. I put 500. I bought 10 contracts. We gapped down that morning. I bought 10 contracts for $500, 50 bucks a contract.
Yeah.
And I think my top fill on one of them was like 25 and change. So they went. They went from 50 to 25 and change. It was ridiculous. But Jake had actually picked up a position in like after we had kind of rallied off the bottom, and then dumped it on like a small little spike, and it rallied, and that position would have been like just north of like $500,000 for him on that if he had held it and not dumped it. He dumped it for like, I think it was like $1,000 or $2,000 loss, whatever it was.
It was, oh my God.
And so
let me ask you, how do you manage those?
I mean, it gets like, so sizing is just a thing, right? Like you get better at it. Like obviously your first $1,000 loss, right? You're gonna feel a type of way about it, right? You're gonna not like how that feels, right? And it's probably going to like make you take a step back for just a minute, right? And you're gonna work back into a couple decent winners that end up being, greater than 1,000, right? And then once you do that, the next time you take that $1,000 loss, right, it doesn't hurt as bad. and then essentially from there, it just ends up becoming a scale factor, right? As to, you know, your first $10,000 loss, like you'll remember that one.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel good. Like it's not supposed to, right?
Sure.
And you got to respect that. And then, you know, the next time you take that $10,000 loss, it doesn't feel as bad, right?
Sure.
For me, it's easier for me to personally take a loss on a position that was planned and all of that than it is for me to watch a position like that day where, because that trade for me, ultimately, with the move in which we had that day, the position I had on, that $4,700, had I not taken any of the position off, which wasn't necessarily part of the plan, but just holding that position full was like 220 some thousand, right? By the end of the day. So it was a, like, it's a big move. It's a big number, right? So it's hard not to have some sort of emotions or feelings towards that.
It is. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there's gonna be a couple of those trades each year. So that's one of the ones in which I ended up like texting to Jake, and all I said was, I said, dude, and he instantly was like, he knew, and he instantly responded with just like, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's gonna happen, but you know, to that, you know, like, you know, there's gonna be opportunities, and you got to accept that, man. But to that, you also can't look at a, you know, 57 or 50% win or 75 or 100% gain as being, no, that's not enough, because that's also a losing formula, man. You see that, it's almost best to maybe not even trade the next day after that happens.
Oh, for
because
sure.
because you're gonna come in and that 75% ain't gonna look the same, and
Yeah.
it's gonna result in a loss. And then now, you know, you start to spiral, you know. But dealing with the, you know, the risk management, accepting your stop losses, managing your position size, that is something that has become very much key for me, because I have enough confidence in myself with the technicals, and even missing out. Like, even as we you know, when we scheduled the time and I said, oh, let's do, you know, we kind of figured out, came to an agreement on the time at noon today. I thought about it. I'm like, damn, it's the day after the FOMAC. There might be some moves to be had. So what? Like, as we're talking, I look behind me. I recognize the double bottom that just took place. Like, early on, I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting there like, you know what? If we get above that 67 level, that might be a good level to maybe take calls at, because it's failing to go lower than that. And I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting there like, you know, the old me, you know, would have been like, damn, I gotta get in there. It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, man. I'm gonna find an opportunity.
I closed my chart specifically for that reason.
Oh no, I need to put myself through this, man. I need to feel this every time, man. I need to face it, man. Like, every now, like, you know, I know, you know, I can't do anything, which is good. Like, I need to feel that, you know. But, you know, had we not been on here, maybe I'm not. I mean, we still are in between that hour. I don't trade between that 11:30 to 1:30. 1:30 is when I come to turn the charts back on, technically. So I might not even take the trade anyway.
So I can see the chart in the background. So I've been watching it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I see where you're talking about, and obviously we had that 67 quarter level in the S&Ps today. And you mentioned this earlier, so it kind of made me think, and I went ahead and pulled it up. We had a divergence down there.
Oh, I'm sure we did. I'm like, damn, man. You look at the rest, like, if I were to pull up yet, now I gotta see it here. Hold on, man.
So NASDAQ on that new low for the S&Ps didn't make new lows.
Oh, there's a NASDAQ right there. Damn. Look at that. Oh, wow. Wow. See? I mean, but you know what? That's gonna happen all day, every day.
Yeah.
And that's something that, from a mental standpoint, I gotta be fine with that. And I've said it time and time again. One of the things that I gotta, like, that is very, 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 like, I don't mess around with, is preserving my mental capital. And I have to do that, man. I didn't leave a career for 11 years to sit in front of the church all day long. That's not what I'm here to do.
No. Dude,
you know, I want to live my life, man. So, you know, you can, and once again, I'm mobile. You know, I got my iPad, I got my phone. That's where I execute the most. It's very easy for me to go and, hey, what's your Wi-Fi password? You know, when I'm at my boys, it's like, no, like, don't do it, man. Don't even log in. Stay out of it. Just focus on living life, man. And once again, it's the mental. Like, you know, the first two, when we did the mentorship program, the first two books that I tackled was The Renaissance of a Stock Operator. I did the audio file for that because, you know, I was doing it on the fly. And then was it The Mental Game of Trading? I did The Mental Game of Trading, and I did the other one that was very similar in title. I can't. Well, where did? Yeah.
The Disciplined Trader.
Yes. Yeah, that one as well. And right now, this right here, this one right here, I've been taking my time. This thing, like you said, one word, thick. It's hard, man. It's not an easy read, man. And I'm taking my time with it, man. I think I'm like halfway through it, but a lot of good stuff, man. And even things that I don't necessarily use, such as trend lines, I still take my time through those chapters to have as much of an understanding of what the market is and what people are seeing. Because even though I might not trade that way, there's a ton of traders out here that are. So if I could recognize there's a trend right here, or we're trying to break through a trend line, I know what a lot of traders may be doing at that point in time. So even though I don't use it, you know, like if we break out of that trend, chances are we're probably going to come back and test that thing. So don't get too excited about the long. You know, so I don't use a trend line. I don't trade like that, but I want to know how other people are trading.
Yeah. No, I mean, that book in and of itself, like, it's a different one. It's like,
yeah.
And the thing is, like, there's no other. So from like a psychology standpoint, like Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, like has its own storyline that makes a very important point at the end of it. I don't want to like ruin it for anybody that hasn't read that book. But like it's a good read. Like it's a good, well written storyline, which is actually based on fact. Like it's a true true writing. And anything from Mark Douglas and Mental Game of Trading is Jared Tendler, I think is how you say his name. Like I said, I'm bad with names. He's got a interesting last name. But like anything to do with like psychology standpoint, and like we talked about in the mentorship from a weird dark psychology standpoint on some things, is like they had their own place. And then you have all of these other things, and then over here in this corner, you have the book in which you just picked up, which is Reading Price Charts by Barbara. And there is no other book that does what that book does, right?
Absolutely.
So
man, when I was listening that when I was doing the audio book for that particular one, Renaissance of a Stock Operator, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. I never knew what bucket houses, or what do they call them? Bucket house. I didn't even know they existed.
Bucket shops.
Bucket shops. I didn't even know they existed, man. And I'm sitting there thinking like, bro, these guys found some sort of a level of success by doing that. And look at us. I got my iPhone. I got all this shit, man. The computer, the PC we built. I got all these different resources at my hand. I got Eric right here. I got, it's like, I mean, use what you have, man, and be confident in it.
Dude, I have a quote board. I've never actually posted this. Most people probably don't even, nobody would know that I have it, but I have a quote board back from like the early 80s that shows I'll actually take a picture of it and post it. It's really cool. But it used to be, it's like a turn dial wheels. So it's a big quote board, and the numbers were like Rolodexes inside of this metal frame, and it was fed through a like electronic ticker, and it had
that's crazy.
Gears and motors in the back that would change and roll the quotes, and the Dow was capped at a 4-digit number. so it wasn't like, I mean, now like it would you couldn't even quote what the Dow is. You know what I mean? So
I mean, I gotta ask you, where the hell did you get that?
I found it at like a flea market thing, just walking through. Actually, up in the DC area, when we were walking through, it was like this antique flea market thing that we went to, and just like the dude had it sitting there. He had no backstory on it. nothing. He picked it up from, some random person. But this was like the original like quotrons. So when people say like checking quotes, like this is what you would have been checking them on was this mechanical driven.
Dude,
just
how crazy is that, man?
It's pretty sick.
Now now I feel like I need to get me something cool, man, with a cool story behind it.
It was the original LED ticker tape.
Yeah, dude, that's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So, and I got some stock certificates I'm gonna hang up as well. So one of the only stock that my parents have ever owned, they have stock certificates for. And I mean, most people, I mean, we're about the same age. I'm 31. Like when we got interested in the markets, like there was no paper certificate. Like you just didn't do that. Right. So the progression of like, again, like you said, bucket shops back in the day and all the way till now, like all of this information we have literally right at our like fingertips, basically.
Dude, we are blessed, man. We are blessed. Like seriously, like this is crazy. Like it's almost a cheat code, the resources we have at our hand, at our fingertips. But at the same time, you got to be careful. You go on YouTube, you can find all sorts of stuff, and you got to vet what you see, man. I've like I said, I've been in it for a little while. I try to point people in the right direction. People come to me. I'm like, listen, I feel like I know a lot. I'm very good, but at the end of the day, one of the things I do struggle with, I try to help my friends out, close ones to me, but I struggle with remembering what it was at the very beginning, the entry level stuff. Like I start, you ask me questions, I start talking to you about options and stuff that this dude don't even know what a call is yet. Like Luke, slow down. Like, this dude don't even know what options are, man. Like just relax. Like
dude, it's I mean, like people still don't even know, which is, I mean, it's no fault of their own, right? Obviously everybody's got to start somewhere, but people don't even know that you can make money when the market goes down.
That is true. And you want to know what? I struggle with this. I have this conversation with my friends, my circle all the time. Like, dude, we spent how much money to go to college? We spent how much time in college? And then we go into college, and then you get your entry level, your microeconomics, your macroeconomics. You're in a lecture hall with 400 people. My professor, I remember my man, Professor Semeranian, every 3 minutes, his famous line was, "Am I clear? Am I making myself clear?" I'm like, no. But no one in this 400 class lecture is going to raise their hand and say that. So let's just keep going. Let's just keep going, man. So we're learning all this stuff in college that we're just feeding you. Like, I got better grades in college than I did in high school. And it's not that I got smarter. It was just in high school, it was a little harder kind of evade. When they put that test in front of you, it's you and that test. When you go to college, you had resources. You could go and rate my professor at that time. Find out see what course you're going into. You could pick and choose what classes you're taking. If I see a class like 30% of your class is based off of one test, I'm not. I don't do well with that. I can't do that.
He said hard pass.
Hard pass. Oh, you can do office hours. Just go to office hours. He's cool. You do your group projects. Oh, group projects. Oh, so I can go in class. Like, listen, you get a group of 4. Who's got the brains? You put the material together. Who's shy? All right, perfect. So I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna present the material, but I can't really put it together. Like I'll go up there and talk to everybody because you can't really do it. So you can pick and choose and it's not, you're not the smartest, but you got to just learn how to get good grades. Go to office hours, join any type of group that they have, because in the school of management, they have test banks. And you realize they don't really change the structure of the test every year. So you don't necessarily have to study the material, just study how the test is made. And that's just kind of how I went through college, man. And it was like, bro, that's just, I mean, in a sense, that's how you go through life. I mean, you could be the smartest person out there, but no one's ever going to really know that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you know all this stuff, but the funny thing is, man, like my boy I hang out with, his dad is the CEO, so I'm gonna have to skip the line here, man.
It's sometimes not always about what you know, but who you know.
Exactly, man.
Oh man.
But joining Major League Trading has literally brought, and I don't say this lightly, man. That literally gave me what I needed. It gave me that confidence to take that next step that I needed to. And just being in those classes and watching this and then your demeanor, man. When we did the lives with you, I'm like, this man is too damn. He's so calm about this damn trade, man. This thing is going against us here, but he's good. Like I'm like, you need that, man. Like I'm hyped, man. Naturally, I get hyped, man. I just like, but you got to be able to tone it down, and you got to be able to accept it, man. So you take bits and pieces. You take the leveling system, you take the divergence, you take the the setups, the sell setups. Then you take a personality like Jake and just realize and listen, this don't have to be so doom and gloom, man. Like whether he loses or like wins or you can't really tell if he took a L or took a win because he's a happy dude, man. He's a happy dude. He loves trading. He's doing what he loves. So that's what it's about, man. Like manage your risk, man. Like it's going through like that's what it's about, man. At the end of the day. And when it comes to the technicals, you gotta at the end of the day, it's hard for me to sit there and tell people say, well, Lou, how did you figure? I can tell you what I can, I can teach you what I can do the best I can, but everybody's personality is different. And that's what led me to once again to SPX right now. It's because I found myself is I can find good setups. I can trade Tesla, I can trade Nvidia, I can trade Google, Microsoft. Those are like the top, obviously those are the top. They're on my watch list at all times. And I look at them and I put levels on them. I can trade those. But where I struggle is if Tesla's looking good, Nvidia's looking good, and Amazon's looking good at the same time. I can't manage all three. I'm not there. And I don't know if I'm going to be there with the way I am. But then I end up taking Amazon. Meanwhile, Microsoft is rocketing. Now that like I can deal with FOMO, I can deal with a lot of things, but that's what's hard for me. When I got two tickers, I seem to pick the wrong one. Like, yep. It's hard for me to deal with that, man. Like some people can trade like that. Like
which lately that's been easy to do. This week Amazon was weak early on, and then all of a sudden it turns. Microsoft was strong early on, all of a sudden it turns. And it's
dude, Amazon's looking great. Oh, underneath 102, 101, I think it was, like we're going down, and the next thing you know, the market's dumping, but this thing is going up, and it's like, what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah, it goes to 105.
Exactly. Like, I think that was on Tuesday too. Like I was like Tuesday and Monday.
I'm like, what is going on?
So that's what's hard for me with individual tickers, and certain people like instant gratification. Not saying that I'm not a patient person because it's gonna require patience. But if you can be patient and you can just hang on to that position a little bit longer, that's what kind of drew me to what works for me, and it's gonna be different from everybody else. Like I look at there's a couple people in the group. Like I had this one guy, it messaged me on Instagram. Big, he's like, "Yo, I'm finding a hard time finding like a circle to connect with, or someone to kind of like learn from." And I'm pointing him in go to Major League Trading, man. Just join the chat. Just kind of like that's a good place. You don't have to trade. Focus on like you're gonna learn some things that you may not know. But I'm talking to him, and he said something like, well, and he's a smart guy, older guy, got kids and stuff like that. He goes, listen, like my problem is. My average winners are like $300-$400, but my losers are $1,400. I'm like, bro, listen to what you just said though.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the problem. It sounds simple.
It is like you identified it yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, but it sounds simple, but it really is. Like that's why the R to R really comes into play. Like if I look at something, I'm so close to a level of resistance based off my level. That risk to reward is too skewed. The same way, if you're in that trade and it's winning, you want to be in that trade until it doesn't make sense anymore. Until you want to be in that trade until you're at the point where, all right, so I made it this far, and it's slowing down. I might make another $2, but now I'm risking $7. I'm out. It just doesn't make any sense at this point.
The sliding scale on a risk when you're in a position, most people don't even. They don't think about that either, or have never even considered it, right? Because it's all open P&L, and it's quote unquote fair game, I guess, for
sure.
So
dude, that's why. But your mentals, you got to be mentally like ready for that, and that's why another place where trading has helped me in my time of being out is just on my day-to-day decisions, man. Like even on a 7:30 p.m., and at 7:30 p.m. on a day. My wife comes in. She's like, "You never hung the picture up." And I'm like, you never told me. I mean, now she said, she said, he said, she said. Now I can make a decision at that moment in time. We can go back and forth with this. Come to a standoff. Now you're mad. I'm pissed off over something so small.
Or
we
you
go
can,
to bed. Like who's gonna crack first?
or you can go hang the
And
picture.
or I can just go hang the picture, and then wake up in the morning and say, man, you right. Have a good night. You know, we spend the night right, and wake up with my mentals ready to go for the morning. Or I can go the other direction. So just on a normal thing, like you're trading because when you're passionate about it the way I am, it does affect your day-to-day decisions. You go out, listen, I'm I had a couple of drinks, having a good time, whatever, have fun. But you want to know what? Everything I do is putting my end goal at risk right now. So just make the right decision at this point in time. Because I mean, that day tomorrow, man, that might be that $30,000 to $3,000 contract day. That, it might be the easiest trend day available to you. What if I'm not mentally ready to go? It's not going to happen for me. So that helps me, man. Like it helps me get in a good mood, man. When I take that little win, I mean, there's nothing better to putting your plan in place, having it work, of course. But if you stop out and you accept that and you move on and you look back, like this morning, when I took that first candle, that first 5-minute candle, I stopped out at my stop, which it didn't kill me. But if I would have hung in there, man, that thing went real nasty quick. Like it was like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Well,
yes.
That was a talk and a half, man.
Bro, I'm sorry, man. You gotta get going. I'm going.
There was a lot of gems in that one, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, NVIDIA's crossing 273.27s.
Oh man. Oh, it's 132. Damn. Now I think I'm done. I'm done trading for the day, to be honest, man. I'm feeling good. I'm probably gonna hit another workout and just chill out.
I'm about to have a ribeye.
Yeah, there we go. Let's get it, man. But bro, I really appreciate you taking the time out and doing this for me, man. When you messaged me and you were like, yo, interview, I'm like, yeah. And believe it or not, man, it's a little nerve-wracking, man. I was a little nervous coming into it, but I've never really done an interview before. But when when you're doing what you love and you're doing it with folks that you feel, like that I know are genuine, that's what drew me to you too as well. I'm like, Eric's based off of what I'm seeing, he knows his stuff, he knows his levels. I can tell he's right around the same age as me. He's a family man too, which it was just huge for me. I'm like, I'm taking this damn program and I'm gonna see where it goes. Like I'm doing it, man, and I stand by it.
Yeah, I love that, man. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, I know you see this right here.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It came in the mail. That's my piece right there, baby.
Good stuff, man. Well,
yes.
I will drop your for everybody that's listening, I will drop Lou's Instagram, socials, all that stuff down in the description of this video. If you guys have questions, obviously feel free to hit him up. And I look forward to same time next year and do a little interview.
Yes, man.
And hopefully we can do it in person. There's
listen, that's what I'm looking forward to. Listen, I tell everybody, my friends, like, let's do, bro. I'm available. I'm available right now, man. I got some time. So you want me to jump on a flight, bro? I am available.
Nice. I like it. So awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. And for everybody watching out there in YouTube, if you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment, run it up, do the thing. And again, thanks Lou for his time. And I will see you guys on the next video.
All right, bro.
Peace.